In File 8, Scarface by Kesey talks a lot about how women are objectified, specifically in Scarface on and off the screen. For example, the actress that played Elvira was constantly objectified when it came to how she looked and how she should be dressed, and if De Palma saw any sign of imperfection, he demanded it to be fixed immediately before they started filming the scene. The actress says he did this because he wanted the audience of the film to see how much of a sex object she was to Tony in the movie. Tony reduced her to nothing but that, and thanks to De Palma, it is very evident in the movie. Him treating Elvira as nothing but an object backfires on him in the end because he can't love her as a person. Before Tony, Elvira had a very defiant spirit, which is what made Tony desire her, but once he took possession of her, he broke that spirit. As he objectified her and treated her coldly, Elvira became, like Kesey states, a broken doll, and she is treated like the tiger that Tony owns, nothing but a mere display, caged up in his mansion.
Tony Montana has an interesting complex when it comes to women he encounters throughout his life. All throughout his rise to power and activities to get there, women play a role in his mind, a sort of driving force to his ultimate goal, power. In this scene, he explains to Manny his hierarchy of true power. He says, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. He feels that the only true way to get women in the first place is by being powerful. Without power, women wouldn't even bat an eye at someone like Tony. He pushes them off until he feels he's at a place where he can confidently make a move. He treats women as objects of power and writes off the notion of love from even the very beginning. Tony sees women as a trophy in his mind, as something that should be shown off for the rest of the world to see. In this clip, De Palma shows the first shot of Elvira when she is first introduced to the audience. He purposely puts her in the clear elevator so she looks in the eyes of Tony and the audience like a trophy displayed in the glass case. Tony thinks of her as something that would show that he has truly made it in his endeavors to climb the ranks of the street syndicate, to show off to others as an accolade of his. Not to mention, Elvira is Tony's boss's girl. He looks at her and looks at the boss and idolizes himself in Frank's shoes. Frank is seen as powerful to Tony and an overarching goal of his, what he wants to become. Once Tony has women under his grasp, he protects them and almost hoards them from others. He thinks that if a woman is associated with him, they are his and only his. He doesn't want other men looking at them or thinking about them. Tony and Gina have a very close relation, almost a little too close as it gives off hints of incest. In this scene, Tony is yelling at Manny for even calling his sister beautiful. The audience can tell Tony is serious. The author of the article draws parallels to Gina and the tiger on Tony's properties. Both are kept on Tony's leash to be watched over and used whenever he pleases.
File 4 is also relatable to Little Caesar for several reasons. In Visual and Other Pleasures, Laura points out that the role of women in mafia films and how women are perceived as a threat. In this movie, Olga can be seen as a threat with Rico because of the fact that she is taking away Joe from him, and could be easily blamed for the reason as to why Joe no longer wants to be a part of a life of crime. She also calls the police, telling them that Joe is ready to talk, which also shows that she's against the plans of the main character and is a threat to Rico, as is Joe in a sense too because of her.
In Little Caesar, Olga is a Russian immigrant that has been completely converted to the Anglo-Saxon norms. She speaks, behaves, and dresses like an American, and acts as a bridge for Joe to do the same, and leave the look down upon Italian ways and culture within the movie. And it is ultimately thanks to their union that Joe is able to eventually break through the ethnic culture barrier. Olga plays a supporting role in the movie. She encourages Joe to leave the gang to live a comfortable and happy life with each other. However, Joe emphasizes that once you're in a gang, you can never leave. He displays fear in betraying Rico, knowing that he would be punished. Additionally, he displays the Mafia code of silence known as omertà, and he refuses to say anything or tell anyone about Rico or the gang. Olga, however, displays courage that Joe could not, having finally had enough of the danger that the gangs cause. In her most important scene, Joan is being hunted by Rico for betraying the gang, yet he refuses to call the police in fear of what would happen to him. However, Olga's had enough of the disruptiveness that Rico's gang brings in their life and the pain that it brings to Joe, so she decides to call the police in Joe's place, giving them the information they need in order to take down Rico's gang in order to ensure their happiness.
File 4, Visual and Other Pleasures by Laura Mulvey gives very many ideas that can be related to the role of women in mafia films. She points out how women are solely for visual pleasure and that they're solely used to bear children. On page 4, Laura states, the look pleasurable in form can be threatening in content, and it is women as representation or image that crystallizes this paradox, which shows how mafia films use women for visual pleasure, but that at the same time they can threaten the main character and his goals relating to the mafia. Women are also seen as a threat because of the fact that they're not male, which makes them easily seen as something that leads to displeasure for the main character. The ideas in this article relate a lot to The Godfather. For example, Michael views his wife more so as someone to help continue on the Godfather tradition by bearing his children, other than a lover or partner. In the end, Kay realizes this, which is why she has an abortion.
In The Godfather Part 2, women play the role of the family caretaker and the heir producer. As we have learned throughout the semester, the Mafia is a patriarchal hierarchy where there is a division of gendered labor. As Michael is the head of the family, he is the so-called breadwinner. Kay is expected to stay in her place as wife and mother by just taking care of the family. She is kept out of the business, as we see in the ending of The Godfather Part 1. Michael is doing business in the office but shuts the door on her like he is shutting her out, as it is not her place to be included. The importance placed on a woman being an heir producer can be seen in the conversation between Kay and Michael during his trial. When Kay tells Michael about the abortion and that she didn't want his son, we see the importance of this role play out by his reaction. He immediately slaps her for killing a potential heir to the Mafia rather than caring for her and asking how she is. With the abortion, Kay is consciously challenging the male power structure of the Mafia and her expected gender role in the Mafia. It not only ends the potential Godfather line, as it is inferred in the film that Michael's eldest son has health problems, but takes power away from Michael. As a good patriarch, Michael is supposed to keep a good grip on the family. As we know, the abortion is a surprise to him, as seen by his reaction, so it shows that he does not have a good grip on his family, as he does not know what is going on, thus reducing his power. Furthermore, Michael is not a good patriarch, as a patriarch without an heir isn't one for much longer.